Okay, so today we're going to dive into something that's been making waves, let's just say.
And making waves is putting it mildly.
Yeah, well, we try to keep it
Yeah.
family friendly here, right? But this proposal from President Trump about Gaza, I mean, relocating millions of Palestinians to Jordan and Egypt, turning Gaza into like a Middle Eastern Riviera.
It's ambitious. That's one word for it.
It's a lot to unpack, and there's been a lot of strong reactions to it.
Yeah, a lot of people are scratching their heads trying to figure out what's going on here.
Right. And that's kind of our mission today, right? We're going to sort of look at the different perspectives, why this is causing such a stir, and yeah, try to make sense of it all.
Absolutely. We're going to play detective. Basically, we've got this proposal on the table. It's created this huge geopolitical mystery. And we're going to look at all the different pieces, all the different players, and try to understand why they're reacting the way they are.
I love that geopolitical mystery.
Yeah.
So let's start with the most obvious place to start. I think the Palestinians, this has got to be, upsetting is an understatement.
Yeah, upset is definitely putting it lightly. I mean, you have to remember that for Palestinians, this isn't just about land or politics. This is about their identity, their history.
Right.
Many Palestinians, they trace their displacement back to the 1948 war, a trauma that's, deeply ingrained in the collective memory.
Right.
And this proposal, it echoes that forced removal. It makes self-determination feel impossible for them.
So they call it ethnic cleansing. They're not just like throwing around a buzzword.
No, they're not. They're invoking international law that prohibits forcibly transferring populations based on ethnicity or religion.
Yeah.
And this proposal, with its mass relocation, it could be interpreted as violating that very principle.
Yeah, and that makes sense, and it's important to understand that Palestinian perspective because it really influences how all the other, the regional powers are reacting to
Yes.
this, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Jordan, Egypt, they're not exactly jumping up and down for joy over this.
No, I mean, think about it for a second. You're asking millions of people to leave their homes.
Right.
The logistics alone are mind-boggling.
Right.
Then you've got to consider the risk of instability.
Of course.
Absorbing millions of refugees. It would strain resources and could easily lead to social and political unrest in both Jordan and Egypt.
Yeah, it's like you're trying to move a mountain, and I guess in this case maybe more like a sand dune, but
There you go.
and we can't forget that these countries have their own history with both Palestinians and Israelis.
Absolutely. This proposal is like a massive wrench thrown into this already delicate balance of power in the region.
Right. And Saudi Arabia, another big player, they're not too keen on this either.
Right. They've also expressed reservations, and it's likely for the same reasons, the potential for destabilization, the precedent it sets for the entire region. It's a big deal.
Yes, you got Palestinians,
Oh,
Jordan, Egypt, Saudi Arabia, pretty much everyone saying no way except, well, Israel.
Right. And it's really important to consider the context here. Israel's been locked in this long conflict with Hamas, who control Gaza.
Right.
And this proposal, it aligns with their desire for a long-term solution,
Yeah.
one that, from their perspective, ensures their security.
I mean, some would argue it's the only way to guarantee long-term peace in the region.
Well, the goal of peace, it's definitely laudable.
Of course, yeah.
But this approach, it overlooks the deep-seated grievances and the complexities of this conflict. Israel's security concerns are definitely heightened after the recent rocket attacks from Gaza.
Right.
And this proposal, it offers them a way to control the borders and potentially neutralize Hamas, which is a key goal for their current government.
But wouldn't that also mean sidelining the Palestinian Authority, even further complicating the peace process?
It's a valid concern and one that the international community is definitely paying attention to.
Right, they're not exactly silent on this.
No, they're not. There are serious concerns being raised about the legality of this plan and the dangerous precedent it sets. It undermines international law and human rights. World leaders are worried about the potential for destabilization, not just in the region, but globally.
And it's all happening.
Ah.
We have to remember against this backdrop of really devastating conflict
Absolutely.
between Hamas and Israel.
Yeah.
The Gaza Strip is, reeling from destruction. People are displaced, struggling to rebuild their lives. And then this proposal is dropped on the table.
It's a stark contrast when you think about it. The proposal, it kind of shifts the focus to this grand, almost utopian vision of a Riviera.
Right.
But the immediate needs of the Palestinian people, the trauma they've endured, the long-standing political issues, they're largely unaddressed.
Right. So we've got this proposal sparking international outrage anxieties in the region and raising a whole bunch of, Complex question.
Exactly. And while President Trump's proposal, it aims to bring stability to the region, the potential consequences of such a drastic plan are far-reaching, and they demand careful consideration. How might this plan impact the future of the Middle East, especially considering the existing power dynamics and the potential for further conflict? It's something we all need to think about.
Yeah, definitely a lot to consider. All right, well, that's all the time we have for our deep dive today. But as always, thank you for listening,
Thanks for having me.
and we'll see you next time.
See you then.